Hello, welcome to LTV1, your local television channel. My name is Aoife Warren. I will be your announcer for this week. I now hand you over to Pat O'Connell for the news and sport.
Hello and welcome to this week's LTV News and Sports Desk. As you have seen over the past couple of weeks, we here in LTV1 have brought you different parades from around the Lee Valley area. I have a note from the Lee Valley Enterprise Board who would like to say thank you to everybody who participated in the parade in Macroom, for all the outside groups that came in and participated, and also to all the various sponsors. And I would like to say a special word of thanks to Macroom Town Council, who are the main sponsors of the parade here in Macroom, and without their support the parade could not go ahead. Again, on behalf of the Lee Valley Enterprise Board, I say thanks to everybody, and they're saying a special word of thanks to the outside areas such as Ballinagree, Killamatra, Carrigamay, and all these people and Dripsy, and all these people came in and took part in the parade here in Macroom. It's great to see the whole thing taking on a Lee Valley approach. Now, so Kilmorey Youth Theatre, last week we announced that they were having a table quiz in the Riverside Park Hotel, and it's now actually been changed. It was supposed to be on next Friday night, but it's now actually been changed to Friday the 18th of April at 8:30 p.m. And as I said, this is on the Riverside Park Hotel, and teams of 4, and the entry fee is €40 per team. That's Kilmorey Youth Theatre table quiz, now changed to Friday the 18th of April at 8:30 in the Riverside Park Hotel. Now, we also have a note here from Kilmorey Historical and Archaeological Society, and lecture by well-known author and historian Sean Crowley. And the title of this is The Dr. Cross Shandy Hall Murder Case, and this is on April the 17th at 9 o'clock in the Kilmorey GA Pavilion, and everybody is welcome to come along. So that should be a very interesting lecture there by Sean Crowley on April the 17th in Kilmorey GA Pavilion, and it's called The Dr. Cross Shandy Hall Murder Case. Now, next Sunday night, this is April the 13th, in the Riverside Park Hotel, Royal Land Boxing Club. They're having a special tournament, and it's featuring Ireland's top Garda team, and there's also senior and intermediate champions and local talent, and tickets are €10 each, and it's on at 8 o'clock on Sunday the 13th of April in the Riverside Park Hotel. That's Royal Land Boxing Club, and they recently held a very successful boxing tournament in aid of Melmount Hospice above in the Riverside Park Hotel as well, and it was very well supported. I'm also sure that this tournament on next Sunday night, April the 13th, will also be very, very well supported. Now, we'd like to congratulate Noel Murphy, who's a member of the Macroom Boxing Club. Noel competed in the Irish Boxing Championship recently, and he took a silver medal at these championships in Dublin. That was I think it was on last weekend. So, well done to Noel. Noel is only 13 years of age, and that's a great achievement to take a silver medal in a national competition. And I suppose we'd also like to pay tribute to the Macroom Boxing Club and their coaches, John Desmond, John Casey, Dennis O'Sullivan and Damien Burns. They look after, I think there's around 48 young people in the Macroom Boxing Club, and the Boxing Club was formed in the year 2000, and they're making great strides, and we'd like to just again to congratulate everybody involved in that achievement there last weekend in Dublin. Now, that's all I have for you this week. Again, so we'd like to thank you all for watching, and if you want anything covered here in the LTV1 area, you can contact me, please, Pat O'Connell at Radio Review Macroom, or you'll get me on the phone is 026 42023, or on mobile 087 266 2192. Again, thank you for watching.
Thank you, Pat. Next, Anne Dunn with news from the Barrier Gap.
Hello again and welcome, and once again here are the listings for the coming weeks. At our cinema, a Salon Film Society present on Monday the 14th of April at 8:30 p.m. In the Shadow of the Moon. And at our regular cinema, Sunday the 13th, Tuesday the 15th, Wednesday the 16th, Thursday the 17th at 8:30 p.m, The Other Boleyn Girl. And at our theatre, and Saturday the 26th and Sunday the 27th of April at 8 p.m, a new play, Survivors, written by Declan Hassett and directed by Michael Toomey. And happening at the library, there is a gramophone recital presented by Christine Cronin from 11 to 12:30 p.m. on Monday the 14th of April. That's the very popular gramophone recital at Macroom Library. And now that there's a new season, we have a new programme at Briery Gap. And here it is. And one of the main highlights in this new programme of events is the international Broadway and West End star Rebecca Storm. And she presents a weekend of master classes for young budding stars and of course experienced performers as well. And that's happening the last weekend of June. Details and application forms are available at the box office at 02641793. Two very interesting drama events are included. Survivors, a new play by Declan Hassett, and then we have a well-known play, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and that's by Rail Theatre. And that's of course based on one of the greatest American films of all time. Our music listings then include a night of traditional music with Flaghole Corky, and we have a folk night then with Dublin City Ramblers. And also to coincide with the Bealtaine Festival, Briery Gap singers will take a trip down memory lane. And we'd be delighted with new members. Just give your name and email address or phone number at the box office and we'll contact you when rehearsals begin. Now for our regular listings of cinema and theatre, just forward your email address to Sheila at brierygapbo@aircom.net. That's brierygapbo@aircom.net. So that's it for this week. See you all again next week.
And now, Brendan O'Brien interviews Tadgh Driscoll, one of the first students to attend De La Salle College in Macroom.
I have with me this evening a Mill Street man, but also a Macroom man, Tadgh O'Driscoll, well known in both Mill Street and Macroom as a pharmacist in the past and indeed as a travel agent right down to the present day, where his son Tadgh continues the business. Tadgh was one of the very first pupils into De La Salle College in Macroom. Tadgh, what year was that?
1933.
And why did you come to Macroom to school from Mill Street?
Because there was no facilities for second level in Mill Street at the time. The options were to go to a boarding college or to go to the nearest day school, which at up to 33 was at Mallow.
So you would have had to go down to Mallow to day school every day?
Every day.
Or else come into Macroom?
Into
or
Macroom.
else go to a boarding school?
Boarding school, yeah.
Yes.
And the arrangement in Mallow was you go down on the 9:30 train, which meant you missed the early classes, and then you had to wait until 7 o'clock in the evening. So it was a kind of a waste of time there. And luckily enough, when I finished primary school in 1933, the brothers came to Macroom. So my parents decided that a better idea would be to go to Macroom, stay in Diggs there, and attend De La Salle College to run that time as Colashta and Tadgh.
Right. So that would have been the first class that was taken in ever to De La Salle.
The brothers just came to Macroom that time, and they formed 3 classes. 1A, 1B was first year, and then a second year class.
Yes.
And I presume the second year class were made up of pupils who had already probably started their secondary education in some other college, maybe a boarding school or commuter note in Cork.
And they would have stayed at home from boarding school then and come to the
come
local
to
secondary school.
Yes, yeah.
But of course there was no building really at the time.
No, there was no building at the time, so we were accommodated in the town hall and the big hall upstairs, yeah.
In the town hall in
in the
Macroom.
town hall. Yeah.
So were the three classes were in the town hall
The
at
three
that
classes
stage?
were in the town hall, yes.
And they had a teacher each, I presume.
Well, there was the teachers were Brother Yemen was the principal. You were a brother John, you were a brother Benignus, you were Gus Kelleher, who won a county medal with Macroom. He was a great football. You were a Mr. Fitzgerald, he was from the Gaeltacht.
Yes.
He's taught Irish. And you were a Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
I'd say they were the first teachers.
In that. So you spent some months in the town hall at that stage.
That's right, yeah. And then we were shifted over to the first wing of the
De La Salle
De La
College.
Salle College, yeah.
Yes. So the building was actually in progress when the school year started.
It was, yeah.
And later on in the year you travelled over then.
Travelled over then, yes.
To and were they building the monastery at that stage
They were
as
building
well?
the monastery as well.
Were they?
I think the brother was staying up in Mountain View. I think that's the big house across from the church.
So that's where Dr. Cronin lives
I
today.
think so, yes. Yeah.
Yes, so they would have been staying there.
You see, they were after taking over the national school as well.
Yes. Oh, I see. So they ran both the primary school and the secondary school from that time on.
From that time on, yeah.
Now, were there a lot of pupils in the town hall, can you recollect, between the three classes?
Well, there were three classes. There must have been 90 anyway.
90 pupils coming
I'd say
to school.
so, yeah. But I'm not sure of that now, but take the class was Thursday was a good. We filled the room anyway in 1B, so it must be the same 1A and
Yes.
second year.
Yes. So this obviously was a huge bonus to the people of the whole locality, not just Macroom, but going back to Mill Street and
Oh, it
beyond.
was, and just to cycle in, there was no buses, of course.
Yes.
They cycled in from Colavukik and from Inchigeela. They came from Courtshire, Ballinaghree,
Yes.
Carriganima,
Yes.
and I think they came as far as from
Ballinagary,
yeah.
probably at the time. Now tell me what subjects you studied at that
We
stage.
studied, of course, the usual ones, Irish, English, Maths, History, Geography, and Latin.
Yes, and religion then as well,
And
I suppose,
religion as
then
well, yeah.
added in as well. So they would have been the core subjects, but of course he
Yes, sir.
also had some recreation games,
We
I
had
suppose.
games, yeah. They had a football team, and they had a kind of an inter-class league.
Yes,
Picked. They were able to pick 3 or 4 teams that time and play the kind of a league system. And
Yeah.
then for the only outside matches that time, there's to play. The preparatory college was not built in Bellavoon at the time,
oh yes,
and the preparatory college was in Mallow.
yes,
And of course, it was the De La Salle brothers had the Mallow College as well, so we used to go down there
I see.
and play games there.
And travel by bus, I suppose,
Traveled by bus, yeah.
down to Mellow. That was great. There was music as well, or singing, was there?
There was with a choir, yes.
Yes,
And I remember we sang at one concert there, and we sang the Castles of Moor.
is that right?
Yeah, but that must be a tradition in the Macroom school, because all the Macroom fellas knew it before we learned it.
I see. Yeah, there were some good singers in the town that you were able to sing with at that stage.
Rita
I
Lynch
believe.
was there. She was making her debut that time. I remember at that concert, she sang One Fine Day from La Boheme.
Is that right?
And I think your own mother probably sang as well because she was a good singer.
Yes, in those days. Hensie Sullivan, as she was
That's
known
right, that's right.
at
Yeah.
the time. That was interesting. Now, Tadgh, of course, you didn't come up and down to Mill Street every day.
No. I stayed at the bottom of Castle Street with a Mrs. Flaherty. She was a native of Mill Street. And they had I think they used to call it the Castle Hotel at the time.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. And there was always boarders staying there.
Yes.
But we were the only pupils, like.
So you stayed in Diggs from Monday to Friday, I suppose.
Monday to Friday. And then the first year, there was the school was closed on a Saturday. But then when the second year, then we had to work a half day on Saturday.
I
So
see.
then we used to stay about 3 or 4 weeks before we go home then.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. So what about after school time then in the evening? Did you have what did you do with your time around Macroom?
That was the usual thing, young fellas, what they do at any place. This summer we go swimming.
Yes.
Then of course we had our homework to do.
Yeah. Tell me about the swimming.
Well, if you were able to swim, we went up just above the bridge. There were diving boards there. I don't know if there is or not.
Yes, they were there up to a short
Yeah,
time
that was
ago.
a deep hole, like you want to be a swimmer there.
Yes.
But Then if you weren't able to swim, we went down through the pigeon field, down to Paul
Paul Moore.
Yeah.
Paul Moore, isn't it? Down at the back of Barrett's Place
That's
there.
right, yes,
Yeah. Great swimming spot for an awful lot of Macrompians.
Is that right?
Yeah. Even to the present day, really, there's a lot of swimming, although the water nowadays in the river leaves an awful lot to be desired.
I see, yeah.
But you had other people staying in digs with you as well, not pupils, I gather.
We had, they were doing the survey, the ordnance survey was on at the time.
Yes.
And there was three, Mr. O'Donnell and Mr. O'Neill and Bill Gearan. They were the three survey stayed in the hotel.
Yes. So you were the only pupil. Did you find it lonely?
I know, very know it, because it was a great house for singing. What you call Mary Hyde was, did you know Mary?
No, I don't think so.
She married, I think, one of the teachers.
Yes.
And they opened the school in Care.
Oh, yes.
But John Cronin, do you remember John? He was a teacher.
In Kilmurray?
He lived in the top of Castle Street.
That's right.
He was a great singer.
He was a fine singer.
Yeah, and he must be great sing songs there.
And the sing-songs took place in the house, did they?
In the house, yeah, and Mary was a great pianist.
Yeah, and what did they do to lubricate the voices? Did they have any
No,
drop-in or anything?
it was what they called squeaking at the time. They come down just,
Yes,
yeah.
down to the place.
Mm.
Very, very good. But there was also issues around electrical power at that time, wasn't there?
There was, yeah.
Yeah. What was that?
You see, they didn't get the ESP in Macroom for a couple of years after we all got it around the country.
Yes.
And they had their own local generator.
Oh, yes.
And I think Charlie Budders in Devon the Crowd were in charge of it, his family.
Yes.
And it was to go off at 12 o'clock.
Yes.
But to get a candle after that.
Is that right? Yeah. But surely, with the goodness, as a young fellow going to school, you were going to bed at that stage, were you?
Sometimes.
Only sometimes, Father. Anyway, you spent 2 years in Macroom. Would you say how did you find the schooling? Was it tough?
No, it was, I found it very, very easy compared with the boarding school anyway.
Did you?
I mean, the rules are a lot stricter there, and the punishment was heavier too.
Was it? Yeah. But and I think you told me earlier that you had very happy days in Macroom.
Oh, I enjoyed them, yeah.
You enjoyed them. So you went to boarding school after that,
I
did
went
you?
to boarding school after that then.
Where was that?
That's in Good Counsel, no Ross.
Yes.
There was a lot of Mill Street fellas there, so we went with them.
Yes. And you went through your boarding school in Norras and eventually went on to study pharmacy.
Pharmacy, yes.
Yeah. Did you have to get a lot of points in your leaving cert for pharmacy?
No points.
No points.
At that time, the odds it was no bothering getting into pharmacy, but getting out of it was the problem.
Is that right? Why was that?
The final exam was very tough.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some fellas were minorities, but gave up altogether. They didn't bother feeling. They just worked as assistants.
Yeah. But you had a song about that, had you?
There was a song there, and maybe someday I'll go back to Ireland, be the closing of my day. Do you remember the Galway Bay?
I do indeed, yeah.
And some fella just made up a song and used to sing it. And sure, maybe someday I will do the final, be it only at the closing of my day.
Things were as tough as that to get out
They
of
were
pharmacy,
tough, they were tough. If you were 60 during the exam, it would be very lucky to get 25 or 27 to pass at that stage.
Is that right, yeah?
That's the exam 4 times a year.
Of course, it was a very responsible position in the sense that you had to mix all the drugs.
Mix
those
everything.
days.
You had to know the dose of everything that was in the pharmacy.
Yeah. Now, we'll pick that up in a minute, but you left pharmacy then and you went, where did you practice as a pharmacist first?
The first job I got was in Middleton.
Yes.
And I got £5 a week.
£5?
£5 a week.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
It wasn't because digs were only two.
And what were you paying for digs in Macroom when you were here?
£1, I think.
£1 a week.
At least maybe, I forget now, but around that anyway.
Yeah, I suppose it was a hard enough pound to come by too, maybe.
It was.
Yeah.
So I mean the wages that time were only very good. Some people only got £1 a week.
Yes. There was the whole lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At 10 shillings a week some fellas got.
Yeah. So you spent time in Middleton and then came back to Mill Street.
Came back to Mill Street, the man in Mill Street gave up and he asked me to take over.
the pharmacy there.
Yeah, so I was very lucky to get back there.
And you ran that then for a number of years?
I up to about 1985.
1985. Did you enjoy pharmacy?
I preferred the travel to the road.
Did you?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
There was more variety in it, right?
I know. Yeah, let's have just talking in the pharmacy for a minute. I suppose there were a lot of people in those early days, particularly maybe in Middleton and maybe later on in Mill Street, who you would have come in contact with coming in and out. They would be very badly off.
You would, but you see, as regards prescriptions of medicine, with the people that were badly off, that hadn't a lot of money, they get a ticket from the relieving officer, and you take it to the local. There was a local dispensary officer, a medical officer, as they call him, and he'd do the necessary, and then he'd make up his own prescriptions. He'd make there'd be kind of the drugs had been in the dispensary, and he dispensed those.
So he probably was a qualified pharmacist
He
himself.
wasn't. No, he could make up his own prescriptions,
Yes,
but he couldn't make up another doctor's prescriptions.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. And you as a pharmacist in Mill Street, I think in those days people often made up prescriptions themselves, or medicines didn't come in bottles like they do now, did they?
No, you could make up a tonic
Yes,
and make up a cough bottle,
yes,
but you get prepared ones as well. Like
yeah.
I think you can't think of any, like angels and much. Or
Yeah.
there's a few more things, but the prices now, I can't understand the price at the moment
Really?
with the jump
Yes.
from when I was there.
You think they're very expensive, do you?
That I think they're unbelievable. I think some of them
Yeah.
prices.
Yeah, because these are the multinationals, I suppose,
I suppose, yeah.
managing. But I suppose a pharmacist could become well known then for his own individual bottle of tonic.
Well, sure, there
or-
was several. Like there was a carnival for some Crellin called Tenori, just to call it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Interesting days.
there were.
Interesting times. Now, take me on to the travel business after that. There's a huge difference between being a travel agent and being a pharmacist.
Well,
I'm
there is,
sure.
yeah, big
Yeah.
difference.
Why did you decide to branch into?
Well, I used to do a lot of photography,
Yes,
and I used to do a lot of passport photographs.
yes,
And then they started to go elsewhere to fill in their papers, so I said, why not fill in the papers some as well?
yes,
And you'd have the contacts, you see.
yes.
So I started off like that.
I see. And the customers, we say, for the travel agents, that came in, the clients that came into you, that's back in the 60s now, kind of
That's
coming
right, yeah.
out of the 50s.
Yeah,
I suppose that a lot of people, travel was necessary for those people.
they were, yeah. They were going to England and going to America.
Yeah. And there were people who went back to work or were coming home on holidays from England
Yes,
and America.
that's right, and you'll be fixing them up as well, yeah.
Was there very much of a holiday trade as such?
Well, it was just beginning that time.
Yes,
But the interesting thing there, I was at some conference outside Boston, in Providence, it's the place where,
Rhode Island.
yeah, and I was walking along the street with another fella, and we were looking for a church to go to mass the following day or something. So I stopped this fella, and this fella came along, and I stopped him in the street, and I said, where's the nearest church here? And the answer said, are you Tadgh Driscoll from Mill Street? He said.
Yeah,
I am, says I know who you are.
yeah.
Says, yeah, you fixed me up. Coming back one time, my wife was from Mill Street. I didn't know you at all, he said, but you fixed me up. But the fella that was with me, my God, says you know never. It was extraordinary, wasn't it?
It was
To
extraordinary.
meet some fella that
It was indeed. Did you get the opportunity to travel a lot yourself?
oh, I did. I was in Lourdes several times. I was in Spain. I was in America, San Francisco and Maryland, New York, Boston. And the first I went was Dubai. Not the first I went was what's the name of the country?
Was it in the Middle East somewhere?
Thailand.
Oh, to Thailand.
Thailand, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you enjoyed the travel yourself
Yeah,
as
I
well?
did. I had a good time out of it, yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting. But of course, the whole leisure business then started off after that.
After that, yeah.
And people started travelling at a great rate.
They should have travelling twice a year now.
Yeah, yeah.
Going weekends and parties going instead of going to these, what do they call them, before the wedding, pre-wedding.
Yeah, these stag parties.
Stag parties, Killarney always, they go to Prague and
yeah, over to
Paris.
yeah, and to Amsterdam and all
Amsterdam,
kinds of places. Yeah, but your business then took you into Macroom as well, and was that in the 60s as
At
well?
the end of the 60s, yeah.
The end of the 60s.
Yeah, yeah.
Why did you decide to come into Macroom?
Well, you have to get follow a business to retain your license, and you couldn't do it around the ministry, so we had to come into Macroom, where there was no travel agent as such at the time.
To expand the business.
Yeah.
So when you say license,
That's the license from the IATA.
yes,
To see if you haven't the license, you haven't the tickets.
yes,
And when a person comes into, if he books, he wants his ticket.
yes. So did you find? I suppose the business has changed an awful lot with the Ryanair stuff.
Oh,
now
sure,
and all that.
there's our computers now. There's a terrible lot of online booking.
Yeah, yeah, and because people, and I suppose a lot of people are doing that from their homes, but an awful lot of people don't.
There were a lot of people, they don't bother it because I just saw someone there this morning. They took a half an hour to fix them up, you see.
Yes.
When I was leaving Mill Street, there was someone with the girl there, and it took them a half an hour to get right.
Yeah, and is it the case now, Tadgh, that a lot of people who are booking will say from their own home computers, I suppose, booking flights and so forth, that it's still true that the travel agent has packages and offers, hasn't he?
He had just, yeah, and some of them won't waste the time doing it. They just rather pay the travel agent for them.
Yeah, and they need that too.
They do, and then the travel agent and the ordinary fellow on the phone and the internet.
Yes.
To get from A to B is okay, but you see, if you have to get A, B, C, D, that's where the complication comes in, and that's where the travel agent comes in as well.
Yeah, and indeed it can be costly for people, I think, working that out on their own.
That's what it can, yeah.
It can be expensive. You've seen a lot of changes in Macroom since 1933. Can I just focus on Macroom just now? When you came into Macroom first, I suppose it was a town that was probably dreary in many ways, was it?
Well, it was, I suppose, like any other country town.
Yes.
But there's a lot of changes there. In Castle Street now, where I stayed, there was a lot of shops there.
Yes.
Tim Delaney was next door to us. Eddie Vaughan used to live there.
Yes.
And Dick Baker, he used to live in the thing. There was a Church of Ireland's National School there just across the museum now, I think.
Yes.
There was a rector.
Were there many pupils in that school?
I couldn't tell you that.
Yeah.
There was a lady teacher there anyway.
Yes.
There was just one teacher, I'd say.
Yes.
And
the Church of Ireland was open, of course.
The Church of Ireland was open.
Time.
There was a rector there, sure.
Yes.
And there was a good lot of Church of Ireland people around here that time, I'd say.
Yes. And of course there were shops up along New Street as well at the time, weren't there?
Oh, there were.
Yeah.
And there was a Paddy O'Keefe that used to take photographs.
Yes. Yeah. I think of a visit I paid to Watford in England a number of years ago. And Watford was a lovely old town, with great character in it.
Yeah.
And they landed a shopping centre, a modern shopping centre, and a multi-storey car park right into the middle of the square in Watford, and completely took away the character of the town. And of course all of the smaller shops around it closed then as a result of that. Would you have those kind of fears for Macroom?
Well, the thing I see about Macroom is that there's a lot of small shops there still.
Yes.
And they're all gone in Mill Street.
Yes.
There's 3 big shops, there's 3 supermarkets there now.
Yes.
but a terrible in the shops. There's nearly a shop in every house now.
Do you think that the smaller shops in Macroom can continue to survive?
I'd say they can, yeah.
Would you?
I'd say I hope they will anyway.
Yeah, and I again, like that visit I had to Watford, I remember speaking to an old man at the time who was born in 1900, and he was 90 years old at the time, so it was 1990. And I remember he saying to me that he found it very difficult to shop in this huge shopping complex, and so much enjoyed going into the individual shops, from the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker.
Yeah.
Are we in danger of losing these smaller individual shops in Macroom, I wonder?
I couldn't, I don't know. I was looking to your interview with Pedro Reader,
Yes,
and he said that the small shops will come back.
yes,
I mean, finding things. If I go into the supermarket, I can't find what I want at all.
yes, yeah.
You have to go all over the place, yeah.
And then, of course, there's the face of the person, you know, in the
There's
local shop,
and
isn't there?
there's a great place to go and have an old chat,
Yes,
or thing like that, you see, yeah.
yeah,
But they're closing down post offices and everything.
yes. Of course, there was a railway station in Macroom,
That's right.
and the train was running to Cork
Yeah.
at that stage. Did you ever use it?
I used it once on the occasion of a county final in which Macroom were engaged. They played the Desmonic, I think they were the teachers, and they won the county that year. There was a man from Mill Street playing with Macroom, Dennis McSweeney. They called him Cruig. And I came with him and my father, and we went in on an excursion train to Cork.
Must have been a big thrill, was it?
Oh, a big thrill, and I say the team travelling, and all the supporters travelling in the train,
Yes.
and Macroom won. They won the county that year.
So there was great celebration coming
Great
home.
celebration coming home, yeah.
Yes.
But I was delighted that I got the opportunity of travelling because I'm interested in railways.
Oh, yes.
And I was wondering, there was also a railway from Courtshire, the Musgrave tram.
Yes.
That's to call that. That is to run along the Carrigraham Road.
Yes.
And when I was going in, I was just wondering, were we going in that one? And went straight into...
Right.
In,
And did you ever have an opportunity to travel on that one, the Musgrave tram? You never got to travel on that?
On the Musgrave tram, no.
Yeah. You mentioned that you went into a football match there. You had an All-Ireland footballer in your first class in Macroom, hadn't you?
Paddy Cronin, I think I just checked you there with J.J. Hinchin, and he said yes, he came to school as Macroom, all right.
And who did he play with afterwards?
He was from Kemeny, I don't know who he played with, but he was in the car team, and that was the 1945 All-Ireland.
And he won an All-Ireland medal.
I think he did,
Isn't it a wonderful start for De La Salle College to have an All-Ireland medal in its first group of pupils?
Some might be able to, because I'm only not 100% certain, but if you check that out,
yes,
your brother just wrote the history now
yes,
of the Macroom GA.
yes,
Ask him to check it out for you.
yes,
It was Paddy Cronin, because I connected him with Macroom anyway.
yes. Can you remember now, I'm going to take you back again for a minute to your own class. Who was in that class?
Well, the people I can remember, I had Eddie Warren, Seamus Burke, Keffa Barrett, these are the people I can remember now. Dick Baker, Charlie Harold, he was from out around Coast or someplace. Tom O'Callaghan, Tadgh Murray, he was from Raleigh, and he was a great friend of mine. I met him in Dublin after. I made lifelong friends here that I met in Dublin after. He was one of them. And one time there was a prize of a bicycle for the best pupil, and Tadgh won it.
Very good.
You never came across him, did you?
No, I didn't know him at all. I don't believe I did, but maybe.
He used to be on those programmes for teaching Irish, you know.
Is that right? What was his name again?
Tadgh Murray.
Tadgh O'Marie.
He was from Raleigh.
Yeah, no, I don't believe I remember him, Tadgh, at all. But it's great to hear about such distinguished people, really, as they went on to
He was
be.
a great one. He was very keen in acting. And he acted in those. There was a series there
Yeah,
of teaching Irish on the television,
yeah,
and he
Yeah.
was on them. Yeah.
yeah.
The Lynches. Pat Lynch was the first man I ever met. Pat Lynch and Parkview.
Oh, yes. Rita Lynch's
Rita
brother.
Lynch's brother. I knew them fairly well.
Yes.
And Timmy, he's dead, I think. He was an engineer,
Yes.
and he worked in Milsey for a while. His car was very useful just for going around.
Yeah. Happy days.
Happy days.
Yeah, there are a lot of changes over the years, and certainly an awful lot of changes since 1933. Tadgh Driscoll, it's been a great pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for coming in to speak to us today on local television. No doubt, a man who has seen many, many people across the counters of his various businesses in 2 towns here, and happily those businesses, the travel agencies, are still there and thriving. Thank you again. Gurmila Mahagut, Tadgh O'Driscoll.
Gurmila Mahagut.
And now, we bring you a scurry act recorded recently in Shorten's Bar, Ballingarry. The programme is presented by Connie Moynihan.
Falterov, Bilangerig, Goktina. Here with me we have Teddy Galvin, and he's just going to tell us the history of Clash on the Moon, which it's a very good place. So over to you now, Teddy.
Do you give? Well, dear Gorms allowed for Clash on the Moon is toch Kudana Hachtach de Bilangerig, there's no blind to father knows. Dúis buníag an cláist an sa bhíon gáhíle sa ceathir agus etgolóir is sa chúgáin buníag agus chaise gábhlíon hos chúgáin agus i gnáim sin is ábhar múntóirí agus múntóirí féin a bhíonn mar go dtí sin níorbh sé ceadathe gaaling a bhuaine ins na scoile náisiúnta agus chun na múntóirí nuair a tugadh an ceadan san bhí ar na múntóirí i luúint agus is chuige sin a bhunaigh chun na gaalinge cláist na mún an chéadúir an chéad cláiste saoraigh a buníag riamh in éiring. Gáhíle sa sé san dathraí a gaiisteach go dtí na halabeogan sa mí an ghairigh atá lár na sráide agus is ána ansean san go dtí 19 me cenaíag tíg príomháideach agus de lehannaíag an tíg sin chuideag leis agus tógadh téhan nó agus mar sin go dtí go bhfuil tá coinis an ástán féin tá ceann firigh bhginge gur bóchalí agus gáirigh bhginge gur cailíní agus tagan scaláirí chuing ó gacháit in éiring tagan siad á bhleit lia chunta na mí cílchuinnig agus lechgarmin go bhórbór agus gandád a bhórmhór ó chorcaig Vi tra ánastoch agus bhíoch ar líad séhiad duine freistal ar gach cuasa. Ach der I héile, deirig na manátí asastocha hennig forbertar an geantar agus hennig loch ganóisteach sa geantar agus bhí níos mó airige le díana bhíh na manátí ag gobaris na munarchuin ná mar a bhí á dhéanamhacha as na scaláí mar a thugmíidirtha. Agus tá sé an buintin is nílach tigahhaine go inge sola marrá chiméad na scaláí tí gan a bhahar fad agus fagan fanan formhór inis sa chaláiste fénig. Céad seasca sé ar fad is féling I chiméad réir na rialacha agus bí míad lán de gach cósa, trí chósa ceanna mí an bheith, ceanna mí úil agus ceanna le mí lónasa. Buine na scaláí anna hangahas mar tá lán áisin a going dóibh, tá gá líng snáha téite going, tá an far pelle going gan dót, tá trí ledóg cúiste a going gor kisfell agus gá cúiste gor ledóg cúiste a going chomá. Agus buntar anna úsáidast, agus buine na páistí anna hangahas, gan dót bíon céilí cogach ihe on an négarí le hútra sidé, agus bíon mescáinde sin, bíon an mar bhíon Eurostar on a going agus mar sin, agus gmórta síle mar sin, agus is breile é, agus is unda chun rud éiscint nó a bhíon siad gemachta bhaile na deor sile le na súile, agus mar tréis síre tangeh chahabh, agus sin éanaimime going, choúláil in na go gaaling idir na scoilna, agus comáile sin, síre tangeh chaúirtóibh, agus ceapan go éiríon linge sin I dhéanamh. Agus le cónmh dé lena sé sin, táimsáitón inis le blian agus chuagam blian agus tá sé nómdum pinsin a hágan agus éías ach tam cinnta go lenig an chláiste raig, mar is cuiitá na háachta bhí an ghairige, dus tá sé táachta ach na muocht na háite agus le cónmh dé lena sé mar sin.
Next up now, we have one of our most famous singers around Ballingeary, our ex-county councilman, John Kaler, dedicated to the late Seamus Scriven, who died there just recently, a next door neighbour here of Shartons Bar. And John, take it away.
Sure, it's poor I am today, for God gave and took away, and left without a home poor Dan O'Hara. With these matches in my hand, in frost and snow I stand, so it is here I am today, you're broken hearted. Ah, hush, le gal McCree, won't you buy a box from me? And you'll have the prayers of Dan from Connemara. I'll sell them cheap and low, buy a box before you go, from the broken-hearted farmer Dan O'Hara. In the year of 64, I had acres by the score, and the grandest land you ever ran a plough through. But the landlord came, you know, and he laid our all home low. So it is here I am today, you're broken hearted. Ah, hush, le gal McCree, won't you buy a box from me? And you'll have the prayers of Dan from Connemara. I'll sell them cheap and low, buy a box before you go, from the broken-hearted farmer Dan O'Hara. For 20 years or more did misfortune cross our door, and my poor old wife and I were sadly parted. We were scattered far and wide, and our children starved and died. So it is here I am today, you're broken hearted. Though in frost and snow I stand, sure the shadow of God's hand, it lies warm about the brow of Dan O'Hara. And soon with God above, I'll meet the ones I love, and I'll find the joys I lost in Connemara. Ah, hush, le gal McCree, won't you buy a box from me? And you'll have the prayers of Dan from Connemara. I'll sell them cheap and low. Buy a box before you go. From the broken-hearted farmer, Dan O'Hara. Anyway, you do so.
Now, our next singer up now is Noreen Ring from Carnadora. Is I Wish I Was Single Again, which I am. So, take.
I wish I was single again, again and again and again. When I was single, my pockets did jingle. I wish I was single again. But I married a wife for then. I married a wife for then. I married a wife, the plague of my life, and I wish I was single again. Again and again and again. Again and again and again. I married a wife, the plague of my life, and I wish I was single again. My wife got a fever, oh then. My wife got a fever, oh then. My wife got a fever, I prayed to leave her and wished I was single again. Again and again and again. Again and again and again. My wife got a fever, I prayed to leave her, I long to be single again. My wife, she died, oh then. My wife, she died, oh then. My wife, she died, and I laughed till I cried at the joy of being single again. Again and again and again. Again and again and again. My wife, she died, and I laughed till I cried at the joy of being single again. But I married another, oh then. I married another, oh then. I married another far worse than the other and wished I was single again. Again and again and again. Again and again and again. I married another far worse than the other and wished I was single again. But young men who are married, oh then, young men who are married, oh then, take my advice and keep on to the first, for you would wish you were single again. Again and again and again. Again and again and again. Take care of the first, for the next could be worse, and you would wish you were single again.
Next up now, we have the famous Ballingeary set. So, take it away, lads. Next up, we have a great singer, a Shannon singer. She's a young girl, a brilliant singer. She was in the National Concert Hall just last night. Nell Cronin. It fails Cork to win All-Ireland finals, All-Ireland medals. We have a girl here that have a lot of All-Ireland medals in Oireachtas and everything. Nell, take it away, girl. Fair.
Martin and Esha Yarkison Stura Colleen. Her limbs were complete, she was neatly clothed in green. A Malabar quillis a bailing Garovilish fiend, and I knew by her gaze she'd play the hide and go seek. The riddest Fenley is dearest a pogging the tree. She answered and said, young man, you are making too free. She dúirt sa féin le dá dúg fasa lum sa marvelly. I'd teach you to play this game called hide and go seek. The ragger an bheith sé dúirt she gur bhfuil mo lí. I'll tarry a while until more of this world I'll see. Mar Tom Shiro og quick diag con an or should be too young a great deal to play or hide and go seek. Oh, na cuddle and glushin ta moor chud cat to the cree. Your mammy was younger than you when your face she did see. Na cred she o eng again and think she vallered the so come with me home and we'll play the hide and go seek. Ta slúr to bra quair gum fénig ba bug agus lee. And no one to care for the milk, the butter or cheese. Bershid charash agus mishta lads fénigum he, and when we'll come from walking 'tis we'll have a jolly good squeeze. The rare the chud rata ta moor chud kaum I the chree. By your false seduction like Satan when he tempted Eve. Damach feshte coglant ta a good sedav with there'd be no chance at all you'd marry a girl like me. Is mo chalin oga you le far tamilchli that fortune might later favor your progeny. Vir Cupid Venus a digle husband a chree, and if you won't join me my ghost will torment you in sleep. Ach ta bra father na bavian har larider she. The parents that reared me controlled by them I will be. Berlat commendations is annum the hoggart lesh he is, and if it's right with my parents we'll play while the rest are asleep. Magab.
Our next man up now is a great poet. You all heard of W.B. Yeats. Well, I think W.B. Yeats don't exist when this man Mick Deneen is around. Mick will give a recitation. Mick, off you go.
If I were a thief, a stealer of time I wish I could be, and my youth again instilled in me, to be once more where I was before, and all things as they were, with folk and friend that are no more, scattered like seed and wind. And all the stories we once told, that brought both smile and grin, no doubt we would recall and recite again. And all the journeys we had taken, we would take once more, and all the songs we had sung, how we would sing again. If I were a thief, a stealer of time I wish I could be, and my youth again instilled in me, to be once more where I was before, and all things as they were, with folk and friend that are no more, scattered like seed and wind. No jewels or diamonds could tempt my eye, just a stealer of time and of days gone by. For youth escapes us one and all, before we understand what a precious, precious thing that has slipped right through our hands. Time is a healer, so they say, but wasn't it time that took our youth away? If I were a thief, a stealer of time I wish I could be, and my youth again instilled in me, to be once more where I was before, and all things as they were, with folk and friend that are no more, scattered like seed and wind.
Our next singer up now is a girl that's caught between the borders between Ballingearin and Chigila, a place called Tiernis Padoga. Miriam Mannion, a brilliant singer, is going to sing now a song for Ireland. Take it away, Miriam.
walking all the day near tall towers where falcons build their nest. Silver winged they fly, they know the call of freedom in their breast. Saw black head against the sky with twisted rocks that run down to the sea. Living on your western shore, soft summer sunsets ask for more. I stood by your Atlantic Sea and sang a song for Ireland, talking all the day with true friends who try to make you stay, telling jokes and news and singing songs to pass the time away. Watch the Galway salmon run like silver dancing, darting in the sun. Living on your western shore, soft summer sunsets ask for more. I stood by your Atlantic Sea and sang a song for Ireland, drinking all the day in old pubs where fiddlers love to play. Someone touched a bow, he played a reel that seemed so grand and gay. Stood on Dingle Beach and cast with wild foam and found Atlantic bass. Living on your western shore, soft summer sunsets ask for more. I stood by your Atlantic Sea and sang a song for Ireland, dreaming in the night. I see a land where no man has to fight. Waking in your dawn, I see you crying in the morning light. Lying where the falcons fly, they twist and turn all in their rare blue sky. Living on your western shore, soft summer sunsets ask for more. I stood by your Atlantic Sea and sang a song for Ireland, and sang a song for Ireland.
Our next two singers up again are Miriam again and Tadgh Reid. They're singing a song that's been recorded in the CD for the local pipe band. I don't know the name, but I think it is I got hit by a tractor, I think, or something he said. Yeah, so they'll take it away for you.
Oh, my name is Chuck Stewart. I'm a canny young man and a roving young fellow I have been. So be easy and free when you're drinking with me. I'm a man you don't meet every day. I have acres of land, I have men at command, I have always a shilling to spare. So be easy and free when you're drinking with me. I'm a man you don't meet every day. So come fill up your glasses with brandy and wine. Whatever it costs I will pay. So be easy and free when you're drinking with me. I'm a man you don't meet every day. Oh, I took out my dog and him I did shoot down in the county Kildare. So be easy and free when you're drinking with me. I'm a man you don't meet every day. So be easy and free when you're drinking with me. I'm a man you don't meet every day. Well, for nearly 50 years I've been a cocky. Of droughts and fires and floods I've lived through plenty. This country's dust and mud, sure it's seen my tears and blood. And it's nearly over now, now I'm easy. I married a fine young girl when she was 20. She died and given birth when she was 30. No flying doctor then, just a sip of old black gin. It's nearly over now, now I'm easy. She left me with 2 sons and a daughter, and a bone-dry farm whose soil cried out for water. Though my care was rough and ready, sure they grew up fine and steady. And it's nearly over now, now I'm easy. My daughter married young and went her own way. My sons lie buried by the Burma Railway. On this land I've made my own, sure I've carried on alone. And it's nearly over now, now I'm easy. For nearly 50 years I've been a cocky. Of droughts and fires and floods I've lived through plenty. This country's dust and mud, sure it's seen my tears and blood. And it's nearly over now, now I'm easy. And it's nearly over now, now I'm easy.
Our next singer is going to be singing a song called Broke na Corach na Bána. His name is Liam Cronin. He's a first cousin to Nell Cronin, who sang earlier on, and he's got an All-Ireland medal too. So Liam, fair play to you, boy. Take it away, boy.
Norairis fener madin gomoche vadum maxovor. Kehin kum na stormo Christe oxifengo fontem. Mar de vishi shu das darogus don is la king mar norosin. Noragashkusi godlulam krishe durchi kamin tu it honin. As I roamed out far to view the plains one summer's morning early, who should I spy but a pretty fair maid, and she dressed up so neatly. Her cherry cheeks and ruby lips, her eyes would dazzle the daisies. As I took this fair maid by the hand, she said, "Young man, go easy. Mar is traf doir mishe go fonter muchert, mar is ma ta is gum horsen. Is mo parkri of the house fen gan be vetain na lontem. Da winning fair nicht knick da hing a kruch nu stakin. Da rinking re let the storm cry a rook na karge banem. I am a plough by the seed far to sow, and that is well known to my neighbours. 'Tis many's the field that I have ploughed, and that without much labour. I plough and mow, both reap and sow, and I gather it into your garden. I'd sweep the floor, and I'd dance with you on the banks of Carrick-Banham. Dolahing falling doche roig mormachon aklehut kinagen. Damach so gum halum gandau to fendo balum. O glesig so girland is a gluslum fen her salem. Is trove meet no kunte dying of ruch no karge banem. I would spread my mantle for you, young man, if 'twas only the breadth of a farthing. If only your thought was as good as your word, 'tis you, of course, I'd rather. So awake, arise, my labouring boy, and come with me in the morning, and we will plough the briny waves on the banks of Carrick-Banham. Bye.
Next up now, we have a selection of lively music. We have Ty Creed, Dennis Moyne and my father. How's it going, boy? Mark Dyson and Chris. Fair play to them. They're brilliant. They're talented people, so leave them off.
As I went a-walking one morning in May, I spied a young couple so fond they'd stray. One was a maiden, sweet and so fair, and the other was a soldier boy and a bold grenadier. Ah, they kissed so sweet and comforting as they clung to each other. They went arm-in-arm along the road like sister and brother. They went arm-in-arm along the road till they came to a stream, and they sat down together side by side to hear the nightingale sing. Then out of his knapsack he took a fine fiddle. He played such a merry tune that you ever did hear. He played such a merry tune that the valleys did ring, and they both sat down together love to hear the nightingale sing. Ah, they kissed so sweet and comforting as they clung to each other. They went arm-in-arm along the road like sister and brother. They went arm-in-arm along the road till they came to a stream, and they sat down together side by side to hear the nightingale sing. Said she, pretty soldier, will you marry me? Oh no, said the soldier, that could never be. I've a wife in old London and children quite three. 2 wives in the army was too many for me. Then they kissed so sweet and comforting as they clung to each other. They went arm-in-arm along the road like sister and brother. They went arm-in-arm along the road till they came to a stream, and they both sat down together, love, to hear the nightingale sing. Says he, I'm off to Africa for 7 long years, drinking wine and strong whiskey instead of sharp beer. I know I'll return again, it will be in the spring, and we'll both sit down together, love, to hear the nightingale sing. And they kissed so sweet and comforting as they clung to each other. They went arm-in-arm along the road like sister and brother. They went arm-in-arm along the road till they came to a stream, and they both sat down together, love, to hear the nightingale sing. Be nobody's darling but mine, love. Be honest, be faithful, be kind. Ah! Promise me that you will never be nobody's darling but mine. You're sweet as the flowers in the springtime. You're fair as the roses that twine. You're sure to be somebody's darling. Be nobody's darling but mine. Be nobody's darling but mine, love. Be honest, be faithful, be kind. Promise me that you will never be nobody's darling but mine. Just promise me that you will never be nobody's darling but mine.
Next up, we have a man from Curraha, Sean O'Sullivan. He's a cousin of mine, and he's going to mention about all the history of Ballingeary book here. He's going to mention the whole lot of it. He edited the book himself, and fair play to him. So, Sean, take it away. Tell us the story about it.
Anyway, Connie, this is the history of the GAA in Ballingeary. It covers just the last. Well, the GAA club in Ballingeary was founded in 1957, and but football had been played in Ballingeary for years before that. For about 50 years before that as well. But in 1957 they reorganised, and they put together a fairly good team. Like there's a lot of people now, like the late Seamus Scriven, who passed away recently, was on it, and Connolly Hand, who passed away as well, was on it, and Teddy Gallivan and Connie
told a story earlier on.
And there was people like Owen Moynihan, who played for Cork, and Jory Gallivan, who played for Cork, and there was a big team of fairly dedicated players in 1957, and they came together and they began the club, really. The entire story of it is here. If the pitch was bought then in the late 50s and developed further, and in the 60s was the best period for that team, because they were in the mid-Cork final for 4 years, and out of from 1960 to 1965, and eventually they won the mid-Cork in 1965. But along the way they had finals against Kilmoytle and against Kennevy, and anybody from Kilmoytle or Kennevy who wants to read about JJ Henshaw now and things like that, playing football, or Barry O'Brien playing for Kilmoytle, or there's all the great footballers from mid-Cork at the time mentioned in the book in match reports, and by some other players that played for Ballingeary at the time. We went back further as well. We got a lot of Southern Star stuff from 1898 on, about when Ballingeary used to play with our neighbours down in Inchigeela, and we used to play as Eve Leary, and Ballingeary people played won the mid-Cork final 4 times. In the first time in 1929, then 32, 1935, and then for the last time as a giant team together they played in 1941. And they were a fierce, successful team as a giant parish team, Ballingeary and Inchigeela people playing together. But then the Ballingeary men played with Inchigeela again, or with Eve Leary again in the 50s. But then they decided to go their separate ways in 1957 and set up the club in Ballingeary. But then later on, the people in Ballingeary had during the 70s they weren't as successful at this junior A level, but the underage were very successful. They won a good few under 14 championships, and especially the minor A championship. They won it in 1973, they won the B, and in 1974 and 75 they won the A, and again they had Inchigeela fellas playing with them, but there was a lot of great players
as well.
was playing with them. Available in the shops. It's available in shops locally and in the Macroom bookshop for anybody out there who wants to read about it. And
don't buy it, everyone, just buy it. Right?
Buy it, it's well worth it. Anyway, thanks very much, Harry.
Love a job. Sean, thanks very much, buddy. Sean Sullivan, thanks very much.
That's all right.
Next up, we have a lovely singer from the beautiful place near Gugan, from the famous Taylor Nansen house. Sheila Sullivan is going singing a lovely song here now. So, accompanied by Tadgh and Dennis Moynihan. Sheila, take it away.
I said goodbye to Mayo and lifted my old case. I couldn't bear to see the tears run down my mother's face. My father gave me money, the last few bob he had, rolled up in a note that read, "Your ever loving dad." I dried my tears in Dublin when the big ship sailed away. I thought of all the things I wished I hadn't time to say. I started work in London and I thought all day of home, in a place so full of people, yet I was all alone. I haven't been to church since I left Ireland. I work on Sundays, I'm ashamed to say. I'm living out of takeaways and tin cans. And yes, I got your letter yesterday. I lied a little to you when I said that I'd done well. Things can change tomorrow, you can never tell. I'm coming home next summer, for you want to sign to me the 10 acres and the fishing boat and our cottage by the sea. I haven't been to church since I left Ireland. I work on Sundays, I'm ashamed to say. I'm living out of takeaways and tin cans. And yes, I got your letter yesterday. The summers passed so quickly, I never made it home. I'm too old now for working, and I'm living on my own. And when I have too much to drink, through the tears I see the 10 acres and the fishing boat and our cottage by the sea. I haven't been to church since I left Ireland. I work on Sundays, I'm ashamed to say. I'm living out of takeaways and tin cans. And yes, I got your letter yesterday. And yes, I got your letter yesterday.
Yep, Tadgh Reid is just here to say a few words about his new CD that he's released for the pipe band. Tadgh, you know what you were saying.
Okay, good morning, Connie. Ballingeary is home to one of the oldest pipe bands in Ireland. In Peabury, Nephin Borough was formed in 1929. So in the year 2009, they'll be celebrating their 80th anniversary. Like everything else in the modern life, equipment is very expensive. A set of bagpipes can cost in the region of €1,000. A chanter for a bagpipe can cost €90. Uniforms are very expensive. There are 27 members in Ballingeary Pipe Band today, made up of people as young as 11 and 12. They were actually playing today in Bantry for the St. Patrick's Day Parade, and they'll be playing tomorrow in Macroom for St. Patrick's Day Parade. With this in mind, and to raise funds, we released a CD on the 14th in Ordinally. We launched it in Ordinally on the 14th. It's called Songs and Music from Bealahungarig. It's available for sale in Bealahungarig and also in the bookshop in Macroom. HMV as well, yeah. It's priced €15. It features great musicians, some that have passed on, like Paddy Quill, but also local musicians, and it also features some pipe band music itself. And it's 26 tracks on it. It's very personal to Bealahungarig, and there's some nice material on it. So all proceeds of this CD go to Ballingeary Pipe Band. Good.
We'd like to thank all the company here in Shortens tonight. Have been a great night, and the talent here in Ballingeary is just absolutely fantastic. So, Ihewa, Agus Slán Fól, Misha.
And that completes our programme for this week. Thank you for watching and good night. Ihava.